Welcome back to Big Mouth and welcome to the Big Mouth Daily Live. Wow, look at this. This is so exciting, isn't it? Remember, you can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. And I woke up this morning to some very exciting DC news. James Wan, should I say, aka Creepy Puppet on social media, posted the title and logo for the Aquaman sequel. And it's Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. How exciting is that? Very shortly, we're going to read an article on this from the Hollywood Reporter. So Richie Mo's been explaining the Seven Kingdoms to me. So he says, Richie Mo, before Justice League 17 came out, can you remember the promo picture of Arthur saying unite the seven? Well, everyone thought it was the seven seas, but it wasn't, as Zack planned Aquaman 1 to be about uniting the Seven Kingdoms. Richie Mo, this is great news as it means it's another huge adventure movie again, and it's right up my alley. Good morning, Bobcat. How are you doing? Great to see you back in the chat. I'm very excited this morning because we have a title for the Aquaman sequel, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. This is going to be awesome. Now, they've also dropped a proper picture and logo for the Flash movie as well. Doesn't that look terrific? I don't know if you can see that. Yes, very, very awesome, and I'm excited for it. So, let's go to the article from the Hollywood Reporter. So I didn't expect to get the title today or last night, but it's brilliant and I'm really happy. What I love about this title and the Shazam Fury of the Gods title, they're actually intriguing titles. I mean, the MCU seems to have to go through extreme lengths to get some hype, but this is a great title. It really kind of piques your interest. And also, James Wan on his Instagram also said the tides are rising. So if this is about the Seventh Kingdom, what's the tides are rising all about? That's piqued my interest as well. Any ideas, anyone? Bobcat, just in the middle of working on some things. Also, you can let me know what they are, Bobcat, if you want. I'm always very interested to hear what the great Bobcat's doing. Aquaman 2 is titled The Lost Kingdom. Filmmaker James Wan revealed the name as the film enters pre-production by Aaron Crouch. James Wan has unveiled the title for his upcoming Aquaman sequel. The film will be called Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. The filmmaker revealed Thursday the upcoming project stars Jason Momoa as Aquaman, with Amber Heard expected to return as Mera, and Patrick Wilson will be back as Orm. It's really funny because Patrick Wilson commented on James Wan's post and said, "Let me out, I can help." So I thought that was really funny. The original Aquaman, released in December 2018, grossed more than $1 billion, the most successful DC movie of all time, making it the only DC film to reach that number outside of Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight trilogy. One is producing alongside Peter Safran, with David Leslie Johnson McGoldrick returning to pen the script. And I really like Peter Safran. I like the way he talks. I think he's a very clever producer, and the stuff that he's been involved with, by the way, has been pretty successful. He's partnered, obviously, with his company from New Line Cinema from the days of Walter Hamada running the Horrorverse over there. So a very successful partnership as well. So the person, basically, David Leslie Johnson McGoldrick, returning to pen the script. So this is the guy who originally did the script as well for this film. So basically, we're getting the old team back together. And when you get the old team of $1 billion juggernaut back together, that's always a good thing. The worst thing with a sequel is getting new people that you don't really know and you don't know if you can trust them. So Wan is preparing to launch his next directorial effort, the original horror film Malignant, which hits theatres and HBO with Don't Care Max on September the 10th. He previously was developing the horror-tinged Aquaman spin-off The Trench, but Warner's opted not to move forward with that project in April. In addition to Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, Warner's has a full roster of DC film projects coming up, including The Suicide Squad August the 6th, The Batman March the 4th, 2022, The Flash November the 4th, 2022, and Warner's and New Line Cinemas Black Adam July 29th, 2022. Now, it's interesting with Black Adam, remember, that comes before Flashpoint. So that's interesting. And Shazam Fury of the Gods June 2nd, 2023. So Blue Beetle, Batgirl, Supergirl, Green Lantern Corps, Static Shock, and Wonder Woman 3 are also in the works. So it's very exciting. So that's the article. So this is very interesting. But I still want to know, what does the tides are rising mean? If we are searching for the seventh kingdom, what does the tides are rising? Actually, what does that mean, James Wan? We need more from you, my friend. Bobcat, Also in the Heights was one of the most slow-paced things I've ever seen. I've never heard of it, Bobcat. Bobcat, I'm finishing up some Suicide Squad stuff, started working on an original project I'm pretty passionate about as it's loosely based off some of my real-life events and beginning co-writing a script. Very exciting, Bobcat. It's always good to get those creative juices flowing. So, yes, I think this is an intriguing title. It looks like, let's refresh Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. I forgot that title for a minute. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. This is going to be an Indiana Jones treasure hunt, isn't it? But why do they need to find the Lost Kingdom? There must be a reason. And how does Black Manta fit in all of this? And of course, this movie does come after, I think it comes in December. It does come after Flashpoint. So there could be some obvious consequences to that, some differences. Very, very interesting how all this is going to work after Flashpoint as well. So, so that's the title of the Aquaman sequel, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. I like that. It's kind of Indiana Jonesy, isn't it? As I said. So very, very exciting. This could be more Indiana Jonesy than Indiana Jones, the Indiana Jones movie that Disney are developing with that director, the director who gave us the fantastic Logan movie. But yes, we've got a title. I think it's a great title. I think Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is as I say, it piques kind of your mind, and it makes you ask, what is going on here? Very, very interesting. Kurt, Manchester United fan from Australia or AU. Hello, brother. Hello, Kurt. Hello, Kurt, with the very, very long YouTube header. Right. So I would love to know what you think of this title of this Aquaman sequel, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Brilliant. I'm very happy. But there's more to add about this film. This movie, according to James Wan, will be as dark as his Trench movie. In fact, I have a suspicion that the Trench movie, the Trench story, will be incorporated in Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. So that's very, very exciting. Because if they do incorporate the Trench in this, again, that's an even bigger movie than we ever thought we were ever going to have. Kurt, Manchester United fan from Australia, AU. I'm going good, brother. Good to hear it, Kurt. The negotiations, Bobcat, hey, Kurt. The negotiations for Sancho are going on. They did offer about 60 million, which was rejected. They do want around 90 million. So we'll see what happens there, Kurt. So that is the title of the Aquaman sequel, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. And it's going to be a darker movie, darker than the first one. It's going to have adventure, of course. It's going to have gags and laughs, but it's also going to be darker than the first one. Nicole Kidman, I expect to see her back in the movie, William Dafoe. So I'm just very hyped that we have a title. I'm just very hyped. For the first time in DCEU history, we have, a 10-12, project slate. It's amazing. Bobcat, how do you come up with the titles? It's so hard sometimes. Kurt, Manchester United fan from Australia, AU. Wow, brother. What, me? How do I come up with the titles? How do they come up with the titles? Yeah, so, a really great title. And as I said, I think they are good. This is why I think they cancelled that film. I think they thought we can incorporate that. We can incorporate the trench movie within this story as well. And that will be interesting if the trench unite in searching for the lost kingdom. But I have a theory as well. I think lots of people from around Atlantis and maybe even the surface level are going to be looking for this lost kingdom. The tide is rising, James Wan said. Maybe the tide's rising upon the surface world, and they need to leave before they all drown. What if they need to find the lost kingdom as well? But if the lost kingdom is underwater, how could humanity survive? That's an interesting thing as well. Could there be experiments done on humanity so they could survive underwater? So the more I think about this title, the more intriguing it is to me. So that's Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, the sequel to the first billion-dollar juggernaut that was called Aquaman. As I say, these placeholders, this slate is really exciting. You know, 5 movies, upcoming movies. We've got the Green Lantern Corps series. We've got Gotham PD. We've got Peacemaker, Supergirl, Batgirl. This is the first time we've had a real slate. These things are happening, everyone. And there's nothing anyone can do with their boring words to stop them. Bobcat, how do you come up with the titles for your things? What things? You mean my videos? You mean my videos, don't you? I think. I'm not sure though. Right, let's go on to the next article. Check out our interview with Loki head writer Michael Waldron. Oh, the shows you're developing. The show, well, this is what you do, Bobcat, with a title. By the way, and I'm quite happy to talk about this because talking to another creative person about this is really exciting. So let's do this. Right. So there's a story called Trapped. Well, obviously, these mysterious metal walls rise up and trap everyone in the town. So I called it Trapped. It's logical to me. Then Finding Claire is goes on the search to find his missing girlfriend Claire, so I call it Claire. What else is there? Alone. This guy wakes up to find himself alone in the world. Everyone's vanished, and all he can hear is banging underneath the ground. That is about different levels each series, and so he's alone. So I call it Alone. You just take what's in the story. It's because just base your title on the story. Lost is called Lost because they're lost. Then your title needs to be what your actual thing's about. Otherwise, people ain't got a fucking clue. Although a film like A Few Good Men is interesting because it is a story about a few good men. But yeah, not as obvious within the story. Kurt Manchester United fan, Australia, AU. Joel Glazer's going Old Trafford, huge repairs. 11 million, brother. Yeah, they should have done this without any riots, but it's good news. Let's see what happens. So that's how I come up with my titles. Basically, it's like a description of your story. So that's how I come up with my titles. So I never really sat there kind of bashing my head about titles. I wanted to create Trapped because I wanted to create a new universe. I was obsessed with Star Wars and the prequels at the time. I love how Lucas created this world and these creatures, and I wanted to do something. There's another story called Uncle. Now, this is about a guy who's in prison, and this crazy old man approaches him. He's been falsely imprisoned for statutory rape, and this mysterious guy informs him, in fact, he's a clone. His father cloned him. He wasn't born, he was cloned with human and alien DNA, and so have 75% of the world's children, including his own nieces and nephews. And the aliens are coming to collect these children, and he's the only one who can protect them. And in the end of the first story, he sacrifices himself and goes to the aliens to protect the children of the world and his nieces and nephews. I thought it would be ironic for the character accused of statutory rape to be protecting children. So that show's called Uncle. So that's obvious, he's an uncle. And so his whole life is about his nephews and nieces, because I adore my nephews and nieces, so I've dedicated that story to them. Now, these stories are not in written form. These stories are in my mind, and I know them quite well because I'm not a good jotter down. I have horrible punctuation. I I don't know where a full stop or a comma's meant to go, to be honest. Well, full stop, yeah, but I had learning difficulties, so it's hard for me to write down my ideas, but they're all up there. When I was younger, when I was at school, I used to do self-tapes. I used to play all the characters. I used to do soaps. There was one called Cyprus. There was one called Friends and Enemies, inspired by 90210, Beverly Hills 90210. And so I've always been very creative. I'm not saying I'm a good creative. I'm saying that I've got ideas. And this is why I'm very passionate. This is why we got into it yesterday, because I'm very passionate about these stories. And you are as well, which is great. And Kurt Manchester United fan of Australia's Joel Glazer's going, sorry, say that again. Oh, no, I've already read that, haven't I? So let's read this interview with Michael Waldron, interview Loki head writer. Bobcat, gotcha. Thanks, man. Man, titles never come easy to me unless it's about a character than the character's name. Yeah, I don't think they're always obvious titles, but I think because of the stories I was doing, I thought, right, yeah, Uncle, Alone, Trapped. So it's great. The problem is with Trapped, I've got a bit of a problem because even though I've never read or watched Under the Dome, my concept is kind of similar to Under the Dome. And I just fear I'm going to have problems with Stephen King and his people. So I don't know if I'm even ever going to be able to pitch that story to anyone, although we are developing it here in Cyprus. And we're not obviously, we're just developing it. So we're going to have to see how that works out. It's not really a copy and paste of Under the Dome, but the concept, people are trapped in a town under a dome. My world, my town of Redsford, they're trapped behind these mysterious metal-looking walls, but a very different eventuality. So, Michael Waldron interviewed Loki head writer. Loki head writer Michael Waldron discusses the MCU series, complex narrative bringing back a dead anti-hero and working with other Marvel writers, by Alex Ledbetter of Screen Rant. A fitting finale of the Infinity Saga as it was, Avengers Endgame opened the door for many more subsequent MCU adventures. One of the most overt was the timeline-altering beat when 2012 Loki picked up the Tesseract, teleporting out of the events of the Avengers before he could be returned to Asgard. This was the starting point for the Loki show, which Rick and Morty vet Michael Waldron had to run with. The result, releasing new episodes every Wednesday on Disney Plus, is the MCU's most overtly timey-wimey entry yet, using the Brazil-styled TVA as an entry point into the fan-favourite character. Bobcat, yeah, I really want to watch Finding Claire. Well, Finding Claire isn't as simplistic as it sounds. This woman has gone missing. The boyfriend, he starts travelling with a homeless girl called Blue. So think of Doctor Who, how they travel to different worlds. So every week they will travel to a different town looking for Claire. They'll stop off, they'll help people, have adventures, but there'll always be a clue dropped about her disappearance. But we will quickly find out that everything about Claire isn't what we've seen. There could be some extraterrestrial kind of realities going on there because Claire's from another world. And all this time she was building a spacecraft to get home. And at the end of the season, as the boyfriend catches up with her, she's about to leave the world. So the search for Claire in season 2 will be in outer space. What do you think about that, Bobcat? To mark the premiere of the latest Marvel Studios series, Screen Rant caught up with Waldron to discuss the metaphysical narrative plucking an existing character from earlier in the timeline and his future in the MCU as writer on Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Bobcat, even better, sounds fantastic. Thank you. Obviously, these things need money, finance, and people to believe in you. So we see how we get on. I've been at one network here in Cyprus. I moved on from them. Now I'm with another one. But things can go wrong very quickly when you're in development. So these are big projects. These networks don't really have the budgets. It's a bit difficult. But we'll see. We'll see how we will see how we get on, Bobcat. But I certainly got ideas, loads of ideas for everything. Pre-existing, original. But just because you've got ideas, it doesn't mean they're good ideas, obviously. And I understand that. I'm very emotionally intelligent enough to know that just because I have a story idea, it doesn't mean the story's good. To me, it's good, But for the professionals, to the professionals, but they may not want to waste their money on it. And I get that. You're not talking to Zack Snyder here. Right. So let's start this interview. When you came on, was the Loki Endgame setup that kicks everything off established as the starting point for this show, or was there something you got input on? From very early on, we knew what I learned and was told under cover of darkness what was going to happen in Endgame with Loki, and that he was going to disappear through that portal with the Tesseract. And so we knew that was what was going to kick off the events of our story. That's what fans would see in Endgame. Then the question would be, where the hell does Loki go? And so our job became, all right, what's on the other end of that portal? Bobcat, I'm surprised I've gotten as far as I have, but then again, I'm not pitching it to a network. Yeah, obviously that's the reality of the situation. I wish I had my own network. What I would like to do is be able to afford through another YouTube channel maybe to have the funds to make original drama on that YouTube channel. I just don't know if legally I'm allowed to do that. But we will see how we get on. We will see how we get on. But definitely, I mean, I'm 48 years old. I'm not getting any younger, of course. Look at the bags under the eyes, right? But we will see. But if nothing happens, I'm still very excited to be creative, and I'm very excited to be doing this, talking about creativity, movies, TV. Endgame's time travel is quite heavily debated in terms of the internal logic. Even the writers and the directors don't fully agree. I wanted to get your take on that whole thing, specifically the ending, and whether Captain America was in a new timeline or the existing original timeline at the end. I think to get my take on time travel in Endgame, you're going to have to watch Loki, of course. Oh my God, what a coward. Because the time traveling in Endgame, that's time travel, is the Avengers. And as those characters understand it and experience it, this show is experienced and explained by the Time Variance Authority. And so maybe you'll get a slightly different answer to some questions and perhaps pose some new ones. How did the existing use of time travel in Endgame and the multiverse, which has been mentioned many times, play into how you built the TVA? Yeah, it was really exciting to just say, all right, we're going to build a whole new corner of the MCU that polices all of time. That was especially exciting coming off of 10, 11 years of the MCU, where there quite literally is so much history to draw from and to reference and everything. That made our lives as writers easier. That it was just, when you're making a show about a time travel agency, how do you establish them in a way that doesn't undo the excitement and the stakes of everything that came before, but perhaps shed some new interesting light on all that stuff. When it came to coming up with the TVA, the timekeepers and all of that, that's in the comics, but this is quite different, and you're building in the MCU rather than Marvel Comics. Where do you draw inspiration from for all of this? A million different sources. Blade Runner for sure was one, Mad Men, Toy Story, Armageddon, so many things. We all talked about our favourite movies, about our favourite science fiction stories and everything. There was nothing off limits in terms of inspiration for the show, because it truly felt like, wow, we can go anywhere, we can go anytime. So don't put any cap on our imaginations. Bobcat, hey, I mean, if things go well with me and I get more funding from what I'm developing now, then you're always welcome to develop your things through me. That would be fantastic, Bobcat. I appreciate that. So another big challenge with this show is Loki, because this isn't the Loki that we saw die in Infinity War, but this is from earlier on the timeline. You have an audience that knows Loki's entire history, but then a version of the character rooted in the past. How did you approach writing that, and was that a challenge? I think it was a challenge in one way, but also perhaps the most important opportunity of the show. A challenge in the sense that, yes, the audience has been 10 years of stories, has seen 10 years of stories with this character. They've seen him arc out in a way and have one version of a redemptive arc. This is another version of Loki who hasn't had all that experience. It was really important to me that we tell a totally new story, that we're not just treading old ground. And so in that sense, I was very excited to have a slightly less developed Loki to play with. Looking at the whole MCU, every character goes through amazing journeys. Loki's perfect to dip into at a certain point. But if you were to pick another character to explore from an earlier stage in their journeys, who would you pick? That's a great question. I love Bucky. I think Bucky is a great character. Like Loki, that's somebody who has a lot of trauma that they're working through. but there's a real vulnerability and likability there. So I like Bucky a lot. So do I. I've always loved Bucky. Bobcat, of course, if we can't support each other as creative individuals, then what's the point? Exactly, Bobcat. Speaking of Bucky, we recently saw him on Disney Plus. He has the success of WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier made this more nerve-wracking for you. How has it changed the view after making Loki in a bubble to know these shows can have a phenomenal impact? Look, it was never nerve-wracking from the moment of that. I realised our writers' room was right next to the WandaVision room. I would walk by and see what Jack Schaffer and those guys were doing next door and realise, wow, that show is going to be something special. We always knew that the expectations were going to be great. We're going to have big shoes to fill following those two shows. So nerves have been racked for quite some time now. For next year, you've worked on Doctor Strange 2. Do you begin to feel that you're becoming the custodian of the MCU multiverse now? I don't know. I think that everybody, all the filmmakers and writers of the MCU are all custodians of this thing because we all end up both creating problems and solving problems for one another. So if I can just create problems for myself, not for some other poor writer, I guess that makes life a little bit easier. So that's a brilliant interview by the head writer of Loki, and it's great to get his perspective. Now let's delve into Jurassic World. Bobcat, sorry again about last night, man. No problem. I'm sorry too, and these things happen. It's about being passionate. Obviously, I don't have much respect for Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man Far From Home. You do. Now, it's difficult for me to say, Bobcat, I respect your opinion there. I respect you and I like you. But I don't like those films and I don't respect those films. So it's difficult for me to respect that opinion. But yeah, there's no problem. It was nothing personal for me. I just don't like those films. I think that those films could have been as good as the Ultimate Spider-Man animated series, and I thought he's great in that. And for me, he was great in Civil War. Me personally, I think they could have done so much better. I don't like Marissa Tomei as Aunt May either. That's my personal opinion, of course, Bobcat. I just think I'm a bit disappointed, and hopefully No Way Home is a better movie. It is a shame that they've had to incorporate other Spider-Man and everything. They're trying to bring some excitement to Spider-Man, but if they only developed him to appeal to a wide range of people, it'd be cool. But the movies make money. They've been successful. People like Holland's Spider-Man. There's no question about that. But for me, I prefer Raimi's trilogy. I just do. That's what ticks my boxes personally. But yeah, there's no hard feelings for me. That's what it's all about. People have an exchange of opinions. Sometimes people can't respect your opinion. Sometimes you can't respect my opinion. That's fine. You don't have to. It's my opinion. It's not a universal opinion. It's just my opinion. We're passionate about these things and we should come to blows sometimes. And as you say, what's the point if we don't? Anyway, Jurassic World 3 is set 4 years after Fallen Kingdom. Exclusive. Jurassic World Dominion takes place in 2022, 4 years after Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Director Colin Trevorrow has confirmed by Said Fadullah Hassani, a screenwriter. Jurassic World Dominion is set 4 years after Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. The final installment in the Jurassic World trilogy is being held by Colin Trevorrow, who previously directed the first Jurassic World in 2005. The previous two installments, which retooled Steven Spielberg and Universal Pictures' original franchise, proved to be massive hits at the box office. This thus encouraged the studio to continue the films and complete the trilogy. Plot details about Jurassic World Dominion are scant. Still, it is believed that the forthcoming movie will wind up everything in a big and fulfilling way once it arrives in 2022. But you know what? Do we need it? Do we need it closed off? This should be something that goes on and on, right? I don't know. Anyway, although there is a full year before Jurassic World Dominion premieres in cinemas, the movie has already created a lot of buzz. The hype can perhaps be best attributed to the fact that the primary cast consisting of Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard, and BD Wong are all coming back. Oh, I had a lovely argument with BD Wong a few years ago on Twitter. So funny. BD Wong are all coming back. I actually like BD Wong, but he was just being all left. You know what they're like. Roles in the sequel, and it's not just them who will reappear, but the original Jurassic Park stars Laura Dern, Sam Neill, and Jeff Goldblum have also been confirmed to return for the end of the trilogy. Despite the exciting cast announcements, it remained unclear when, after the events of Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, would the new movie be set. But that conundrum has now been solved by Trevorrow, who has set straight the timeline of Jurassic World Dominion. Has Trevorrow actually said this is a trilogy and this is the end? Or is this just something Screen Rant have just decided? I don't know. During his exclusive conversation with Screen Rant ahead of F9's IMAX preview, Trevorrow revealed that the Jurassic World Dominion takes place 4 years after the events of Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. He said that everything within the Jurassic World universe is set in the present day. So by that principle, since the events in Fallen Kingdom occurred in 2018 and the battle at the Big Rock happened in 2019, as shown in the short film of the same name, Dominion must come about in 2022, which is 4 years after the second film. Makes sense? This is what Trevorrow had to say. Everything in my mind has always been pretty much present day. So Big Rock took place a year or so after Fallen Kingdom in 2019 when it came out, and the T-Rex has just been out in the Sierra Nevada forest where they all escaped to. It's absolutely massive. It's a whole section of the state, and so she's just been living in there. They've been struggling to catch her for a very long time. So this is about 4 years later. It's when the movie comes out. So 2022, again, makes total sense. While determining the timeline for Jurassic World Dominion, Trevorrow cited the end of the previous film and its followed up the short films. This may possibly hint towards the premise of the new movie, which many believe will deal with the dinosaurs coexisting with humans. Trevorrow has made it abundantly clear the Fallen Kingdom dinosaurs are still out there in the wild. As he said, by the time that the new movie kicks off, officers would still be looking to hunt down the T-Rex that had escaped into the Sierra Nevada forest. This means that Jurassic World Dominion will depict a full-blown dinosaur infestation. Yeah, I think that's obvious. I think that's what we thought by the end, wasn't it? And that's what got me really excited. And it will be up to the heroes to save the day. Who's the heroes, the dinosaurs or humanity? You make your fucking mind up. My money's on the fucking dinosaurs. Jesus Christ. But we call humans trying to capture animals heroes. Anyway, and it will be up to the heroes to save the day. However, not necessary that all the dinosaurs will be a cause of a nuisance, but it's more likely that while some dinosaurs would live in harmony with humans, some others would wreak havoc, much like what was shown at the end of Battle of Big Rock. Do you know what? I don't mind the dinosaurs destroying humanity. Human beings are twats, right? We're all twats. We don't deserve this beautiful world. Let the animals take over. We kill animals and we eat them. I'm a meat eater. I'm a hypocrite. I admit it, right? I've been bred on meat and I love it. But it's wrong what society does to animals. Simple as that. Human beings are not a great culture. Not one of us deserves any redemption. We're all pieces of shit. The way we treat this world and the animal kingdom is fucking disgusting. And that's my opinion. Yes, I'm a hypocrite because I eat those animals, right? It's true. I wish I wasn't bred on meat, but I am. But the way we treat this world and animals is disgusting. Trevorrow's comments intelligibly indicate that the new Jurassic World Dominion movie could look like. Fans already had an idea that the upcoming final film would leave the park behind and explore real-world locations. But isn't that obvious, Screen Rant? Isn't that obvious? They've invaded the world. What do you think's going to happen? Bobcat, amen. And explore real-world locations. Now it's, oh my God, go away notifications and explore real-world locations. Now it's also known that the movie is set in the modern day. This information should suffice in appeasing viewers' curiosity until a trailer drops and actually offering a proper glance at the film's plot. That said, the idea of Jurassic World Dominion taking place in 2022 gives rise to a logical question about the movie's storyline. That is, if the COVID-19 pandemic, oh, fucking hell, you boring man, who cares if the COVID-19 pandemic is referenced? No, we don't want it. We don't care about the real world. You boring twat. Taking place in 2022 gives rise to a logical question about the movie's storyline. That is, if the COVID-19 pandemic would factor into the events as well. It's highly unlikely, though, as though has its own epidemic to deal with, which involves menacing Cretaceous reptiles roaming the earth. These journalists, man. Bobcat, do you have any good name for schools? I'm really trying to think of that once. I've had that. I have a title, Bobcat. I'm open to any names, Lowell. Right, names for schools, Bobcat. Well, it depends on the story. You could have silly names like Curiosity High, if it was like a kind of Scooby-Doo kind of school where they investigate stuff. You could have Eccleston High. Now, think of actors and come up with their surnames. Eccleston High. But what is the place the school's in? You could use the town or something like that. But yeah, just when I was a kid and I was doing these self-tapes of my soaps, I had characters like Jeff Gibson, named after the singer, Debbie Gibson. I had a character called Tiffany, named after the singer Tiffany, who I adored back in the 80s. So I just used Michael Jackson, so I took Peter Jackson and Lucy Jackson. So I used to find inspiration for characters' names via famous people to try that. Because that's my kind of inspiration. Sometimes my character Blue in Finding Claire, I just thought the name Blue. I thought it was an endearing name for a girl. I don't know if that's such a name. Blue was a cartoon character in the Foster's kids thing, animated show, and I love that character, so that's why I came up with the name Blue. Ronnie Dodge, morning, mate. DC Hype Engine begins. Yes, I have referenced the new title, Aquaman, and what's it called? The Lost City? I've forgotten now. I've forgotten the bloody title already, but we've discussed that already for about 10 minutes. It was a great conversation. I've got a lot of theories, but what does he mean? What does James Wan mean by the tides are rising? Could the tides be rising in our world on the surface level, and humanity needs to live underground in Atlantis? Could this be what's happening? And if it is the seventh kingdom they're looking for, wow, how exciting is that? It's more of a realistic story. Ronnie Dodge, Flash has verified Twitter accounts now on Instagram. Yes, thank you for putting me onto that. I have added the Instagram and the Twitter one you put me onto. So thanks for that, Ronnie. Bobcat, just like generic school names. Oh, right. Crowtown Elementary. Crowtown Elementary. I have to really sit down and think about it. I really would. So, yes, that's about Jurassic Park World Dominion. Now, I referenced this yesterday while me and Bobcat were going into it, but because I couldn't concentrate about it, thanks for that, Bobcat, I'm going to have to get into this article again, and this is about the Suicide Squad editor's comments. One of Suicide Squad's editors, Kevin Hickman, says even the haircut wouldn't include all of Jared Leto's Joker footage. Sometimes he would just go off on such crazy, insane tangents, and it would be really hard to weave it into the film. So I really want to get into this, and I want to read this article from Screen Rant. Ronnie Dodge. Morning, Bobcat. Bobcat. Morning, Ronnie Dodge. Bobcat. Yeah, sorry. Ha, ha, ha. To be honest, Bobcat, I wasn't sure if you were coming back. I noticed someone had unsubscribed, and I thought, well, that's him gone. I was a little bit sad about it, but I thought, you know what? We were just exchanging opinions. Come on. We got a bit heated, man. It's not the end of the world, is it? Jesus. It's going to happen again. Maybe not with you and me, but with other people. You will always stand your ground, which I respect, but I will always stand my ground. If I love something, I love something. If I don't, it's not that I don't like Tom's movies. It's not that I think they're garbage. I think this is Spider-Man. This is Spider-Man. It should be the best it can be. And I feel that Raimi really got there. I really do believe that. And yes, obviously, Tony Stark's death is very serious and he's dealing with that. But also, Peter Parker's struggling to pay his rent and to eat is a real world serious as well. So I just like that loyalty to the comics. And I love Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben is Jonathan Kent. Uncle Ben is, he's the core soul of Peter Parker and the man he becomes. So important. And not to reference him basically is very disappointing and disrespectful, in my opinion. But I'm sorry, Air's classic Harley costume is terrible. Hamas makes her look like a raccoon. Do you know what? I like all the costumes she wears in David Ayer's movie. I think she was pretty referenced kind of. I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? When you look at her animated, original animation, she was very basic in the sense that she had the voice, but she wasn't. I don't think she was. She's got the voice with David Ayer, but maybe the sexual stuff. They didn't sexualize her in the animation. The sexualization of Harley in David Ayer's movie, I think, is outrageous, and he got that wrong. Bobcat, not to mention her hair peels through the cowl. Oh, yeah, I didn't notice that. Doesn't bother me, but I can understand you being a Harley man. Bobcat peaks. Bobcat, yeah, he did. So let's get into this again. Suicide Squad haircut still wouldn't include all Jared Leto Joker footage. Now, I read this yesterday, but I really want to get into this and talk to you because I have an issue with this because we were all led to believe the haircut will be awesome. Most of Jared's stuff will be put back in, but it's clear here it's impossible. And really, the core thing to watch the haircut is Jared Leto's sequences. Now, if they're that crazy and he went off on a tangent, then what's the point? But let me just talk about it. Ronnie Dodge, I do think her looks in the new Suicide Squad look amazing. Listen, let me explain something to you before I read this. Like, James Gunn is a Suicide Squad man, right? He loves the Suicide Squad, but also he's already said he's being really loyal to Bruce Timm's original animated creation of Harley. David Ayer wasn't. Yes, she's got the voice, but I say she isn't sexualized in the animation by Bruce Timm because Bruce Timm's a pure soul. She should never have been sexualized when she's bending over and everyone, and then she goes, "What?" And they're all looking at her bend over. What's that all about? I like Suicide Squad. I think it's a perfectly good movie, but you know, at the end of the day, things like that is why us men get a bad rap and male creatives get a bad rap. There was no need to do that. Sam Dejan reviews, will Amber Heard be in Aquaman 2? Absolutely 100%. Amber Heard's a legend. Amber Heard's a star. She's going nowhere. Johnny Depp, who married a beautiful, young, ambitious woman, and she did what she wanted to do to become successful. You should have been a bit more smarter with your tactics. She's clearly a bit more smarter than you. I love you, Johnny Depp. You know, what you created with Captain Jack Sparrow and your career has been fantastic. But unfortunately, you should leave it alone because you're not going to beat her. Ronnie Dodge, yeah, don't bother doing the haircut then, in my opinion, if that's the case. Right, let's give this a read. Isn't it great to have the old team back? Isn't it great to be friends and be adult enough to realise that we can argue? Isn't that great? Yeah, I'm a very passionate person, so sometimes you know, and we talked about this last night, didn't we, Ronnie? Or someone else said it, that American people don't really understand the British humour. Our humour is very scathing and it can seem insulting, but it's not. It's what we call, Bobcat, it's called banter. So we go at each other, but it's a laugh, it's a joke sometimes. I know we were getting serious at times, but when I started laughing and all of that, that's how us British, this is our humour. Your humour in America is very dry. That's why most of your sitcoms are not very funny. Right, Ronnie Dodge, yeah. Ronnie Dodge, Amber is in Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Sounds very Indiana Jones to me. Yes, as I said, Ronnie, they're looking for this Lost Kingdom, but more importantly, what does James Wan mean by the tides are rising? This could be an end of the surface level. You know, something could happen here, right? What does that mean? There's obviously an oncoming, maybe the Lost Kingdom is for humanity to go and live on. I don't know. This could be a peak story. And Jason Momoa is part of that story. It's very exciting. Ronnie George, us Brits are just very sarcastic. Sarcastic, scathing humour. We insult in our humour, but it's just humour. And Ronnie Dodge, global warming, maybe. It's very interesting to me. Right. Suicide Squad haircut still wouldn't include all Jared Leto's Joker footage. Now, this is interesting. Has this been released to put us off supporting the release of the haircut? Although this editor would know more than anyone else, so it's interesting. And David Ayer hasn't come out to contradict this information, by the way. And David Ayer is responsible for this as well, which I'll go into. Right. One of Suicide Squad's editors, Kevin Hickman, explains why much of Jared Leto's performance as the Joker didn't make even David Ayer's original cut. So think about that. We've been going after the big bad studio, but not even Ayer. Why? I'll talk about it afterwards. This just really winds me up. Like Anna Dumarog of Screen Rant. Even in David Ayer's original cut of Suicide Squad, a lot of Jared Leto's Joker scenes were cut. After debuting the DC Extended Universe's primary heroes through Zack Snyder's Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, Warner Brothers came out with a villain-focused film with the 2016 Ensemble project introducing a string of bad guys in the franchise forced to do good. The focus was on Leto, who was debuting a new version of the clown Prince of Crime. Ronnie Dodd, just need to remember Jason is doing the story. Well, don't forget, he's only co-writing the story. You know, James Wan is there. We've got the original writer from the original. So basically, he's had a partial idea, which they're bringing onto it. But I wouldn't worry about it. He's not in charge of this movie. They always get producer credits in the second movie just to inspire them more. But yeah, at first I was going to, but you know, they're there. They know these movies are now very important. They can't fail. So I'm very interested. Sam Jan reviews. I thought WB were tired of Amber Heard drama. I don't know who told you that. They may be tired of. Well, who told you that, Sam? Who told you that? Well, Warner Brothers have never come out officially and said they're tired of Amber Heard drama. Amber Heard comes to work. She's professional. She gets on with her colleague and she goes home. That's all that matters. Now, Johnny Depp was fired because he scored an own goal. He took a paper in London to court and he lost. He's got to stop with all these injunctions, all these court cases, and just accept the fact that he lost. He was, you know, basically a con artist went to him. You know, she seduced him. She's young. She's beautiful. She did it. This happens in rich life and wealthy, powerful life all the time. Just get over it. If you just moved on from this, Johnny, your career would be intact. Sam Jan reviews. Jason Momoa doesn't like Amber Heard. He doesn't want to work with her. No, that's not true. Has Jason Momoa told you that? He hasn't, has he? So how do you know that? If Jason Momoa hated Amber Heard, the star of this film, and if he wanted her gone, she would be gone, my friend. They would find a way to move her on. Of course they would. And maybe after this film, she'll be killed off. Maybe she'll be killed off in Flashpoint. Who knows? She is killed in Flashpoint. We will see. But of course, you know, once they set things back, she's not dead anymore. So anyway, we'll see. But from what they may do something to get rid of her in this movie. So they can't just sack her, you see. So they're not going to recast her. You know, they may just kill the character off. If they kill the character off, Sam, that means they don't want her there. But if she survives this movie, then she survives this movie and she carries on. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Bobcat. I love of story taking shape in your head. Oh, yeah, that's the best thing ever, isn't it? Joker was a big part of Suicide Squad's marketing. He was at the center of trailers and loomed large in posters. Couple that with reports of Leto's method acting, and there was a high level of interest in how his iteration would measure up against Heath Ledger's. Quintessentially portrayed in Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. However, learning just how briefly the iconic DC villain was in the film was disappointing. The general explanation for this sudden difference was Warner Brothers' creative meddling that forced last-minute reshoots to make a Suicide Squad more light-hearted. You keep on talking about their meddling, but sometimes, as a studio and an investor, you need to meddle when you know things are going south, right? It turns out even Ayer's cut wouldn't have featured everything that Leto shot. So how much extra from Leto that we didn't see would we get in the Ayer cut? By the looks of it, not very much. Sam Jan reviews, just recast the character. They're not going to recast her, Sam. The only way she's gone is if they kill the character off, and I doubt it. She's not being recast. I don't hate Amber Heard. I don't care about her personal life. I don't care about Johnny Depp being butthurt. I'm happy with her performance in the first film. She stays. She's staying. I ain't got a problem. Drizzy Dre, JM, heart. Hello, Drizzy Dre. Sam Dejan reviews. You do Amber Heard being in the movie is just ruining the movie. No, not at all. Not in my opinion. Not in my opinion, Sam. I think she hasn't. She goes to work. She does her job. They don't want to sack her. So I don't have a problem with it, right? Yeah, she's not going to ruin the movie at all. Speaking with Cinema Blend, Suicide Squad's co-editor Kevin Hickman reveals that Joker actor just gave them a lot of material, and while he personally liked what Leto did with the character, they had a difficult time incorporating a lot of it in the film, especially since he went on various tangents that said Hickman wishes that the Clown Prince of Crime was more prominently featured in the project. But as you can see, this is not Warner Brothers' fault. This is actually David Ayer's and Jared Leto's fault. By the look of it, we'll discuss it. Jared Leto, I thought, did a really good job of playing the Joker. I know there's a lot of opinions on that matter, but I really liked what he did. He really brought a psychotic character to life, and because of the running time and because of Jared provided so much material, we were not able to use a lot of it. And for a lot of the material, we just couldn't find a purpose for it, because sometimes he would just go off on such crazy, insane tangents, and it would be really hard to weave it into the film. Sometimes it just wasn't appropriate for what he was doing, but it would have been nice to have more of that Joker character, a little bit more fleshed out than what came out in the movie. The problem is, the movie is just over 2 hours, right? It's about 2 hours, 15 minutes, am I right? And the extended cut's slightly longer as well, and not much, by the way. I don't think if this film was 4 hours long, they still could have put all the stuff in it. The guy says it's not appropriate. You know, I'm going to discuss this when I finish this article. Sam design reviews, just like Ray Fisher being in Zack Snyder's Justice League, it's the same for Aquaman 2. No, Ray Fisher has insulted the studio and the DC Films president. That's the difference. Amber Heard hasn't insulted her employers. She goes to work, she gets on with everyone, and she goes home. That's it. She's a model employee. Doesn't matter what she does at home. Now, if legal structures want to bring her to justice for alleged things she's meant to have done, that's different. She doesn't ruin the film for me because I like her. I've talked to her before. I think she's a nice girl. I don't care what she's done in the privacy of her own home. None of us are perfect. You know, Sam, things could come out about what you do or say or what I do or say. None of us are perfect. Maybe we shouldn't judge others so easily. Bobcat, I heard he isn't a great at improv. Bobcat, improv. Who are you talking about? Bobcat, who are you talking about? Ronnie Dodge. She's staying, Johnny. She's staying. Johnny lost the court case, but we don't have to get involved in people's private life. Agreed. Bobcat, it came out today that the Suicide Squad has sex scenes. I'm not saying a word. Bobcat, LWTO. Who's that? Who's LWTO? Basically, right, I'm very good at improv. I've always been very good at improv. A lot of my mantra is improv. If it was up to me, I would just improvise a whole fucking movie. If I was a director, I wouldn't even write stuff or structure it. But I love improv. Improv is brilliant because I can just say words. It's like now when I'm talking, some people would find this really difficult, just to go on a camera and talk. And come up with stuff to say. Like sometimes when there's not many people on the chat and nobody's commenting, you've got to keep it going, right? So I'm a very good improviser, which is a good life skill, by the way. Given this revelation from Hickman, it might have been better if Warner Brothers went with a Joker origin story first with Leto before having him join the Suicide Squad. You can't blame Warner Brothers because they didn't do a Joker origin story before having him join the Suicide Squad, given its large cast. That's not the reason this went south. The Air movie had limited runtime, so even if the studio didn't mandate reshoots, it would have still been difficult to put major focus on the Clown Prince of Crime. Perhaps if the DCEU led with a proper Joker-centric project, would have established the character as a player in the franchise. Well, The Dark Knight didn't need a Joker origin movie. What are you talking about? I'm not against the movie. We've had a movie, by the way, but Jesus, the character as a player in the franchise. They would have been able to better incorporate him into the ensemble movie. No, you're wrong. It wouldn't have made any fucking difference. Understandably, Leto would be keen on trying a lot of things in his first go as the character, considering the massive pressure of the following in the footsteps of the other prolific actors who inhibited the role. I don't agree with you. I don't agree. I'm sorry. You're making excuses for the actor and trying to blame the studio. It's always easy to blame the big bad studio, isn't it? After Suicide Squad, there were a couple of projects where the actor was supposed to reprise his role as the DC villain, but nothing ever materialized. He eventually moved on, while Warner Brothers debuted a brand new Joker in Joaquin Phoenix. At this point, there's no word if Leto still has a future as the Joker, but his brief return at the end of Zack Snyder's Justice League offers an opportunity for him to come back to do the DCEU down the road. I want to talk about this. Bobcat, I mean, it's official now, so you aren't giving anything away. But you know what? I don't want to go into details, Bobcat. I'd rather not, because let's watch the movie properly. I need to watch the movie properly. I've only seen 90 minutes of it as well. So Ronnie Dodge, I'm betting Harley and Rick are a thing in the movie. Bobcat, oh yeah, Ronnie Dodge. Ronnie Dodge, hence why he cared about her in the trailer. Bobcat, definitely don't have Harley and Rick fan art on my phone. No, not me. Billy, Manchester United glazes out. Message retracted. Ronnie Dodge, eyes, Bobcat. So, let's talk about this. As a director, forget the studio. Everyone focuses on the studio, right? As a director, David Ayer, if Jared Leto was doing this crazy shit that couldn't be in the film, right? Then David Ayer should have, let him do a little bit, right? It's fun. But in the end, he should have approached him and said, look, Jared, this stuff you're doing is great, but I can't incorporate it in the movie. This is not totally your movie. This is a film with many characters in. We're going to have to create something for the Joker here that works for the movie. As a director, that's what he should have done. So it's really his fault and Jared Leto's fault. This went south because Jared Leto just went off on a tangent. It didn't work. It doesn't work in David Ayer's original cut either. What does that tell you? That ultimately, as brilliant of an actor Jared Leto is, he's probably not a great Joker because, I mean, I like him in the Snyder Cut. He's good. He talks well. He's more jokery. I just don't think he was the right pick for the character. But David Ayer's to blame, right? And this sums up the Snyderverse. As much as I love Zack's movies, this proves he shouldn't have been running the DC Extended Universe because it's all about artistic integrity. It's all about the vision. But what about making awesome films that fans can see that don't get cut to pieces because of your artistic integrity? You know, take your heads out of your asses and we could have had a great DC Extended Universe. Individually, the films are great, but as a franchise, it simply didn't work. We're back with Jurassic World 3. So the Gigantosaurus is a big part of Jurassic World 3. Ronnie Dodge, I think we're wasting our time to say release the air cut. It's all dead meat. And now I mean, look at the multiverse. Now it's insane. I know. There's a proper slate. Jesus Christ. It's getting bigger and bigger every day. It's sensational. I hope this is planned out, and I hope they're not just chucking stuff on the wall and seeing what sticks. I hope there's a plan here, but it sounds very, very exciting. So, exclusive, director Colin Trevorrow previews the new dinosaurs appearing in Jurassic World Dominion, including the formidable Gigantosaurus by Rachel Abernathy of Screen Rant. The Gigantosaurus is poised to play a big role in next year's Jurassic World Dominion. Picking up 4 years after the events of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, the third and final film in the beloved dinosaur franchise will enter... Is it the third and final film, though? Is it? Anyway, in the beloved dinosaur franchise will enter uncharted territory where the prehistoric creatures are running wild outside of the titular theme park. Jurassic World Dominion will see characters from the previous two films as well as those from Jurassic Park like Jeff Goldblum and Laura Dern return to deal with this new crisis. Since Jurassic World Dominion was delayed from this year to 2022 due to the coronavirus pandemic, many details about the film are still being kept under wraps. However, the project's upcoming IMAX preview, which will screen alongside F9 later this month, has brought a slew of new teasers online. For example, Jurassic World 3 will follow two sets of characters in parallel stories, and it will feature numerous new dinosaur species. One of these newcomers are featherhead dinosaur known as the Oviraptor, was just revealed in a new Jurassic World Dominion image. Another one of the new species featured in the movie is poised to play a big role. The Gigantosaurus Screen Rant interviewed Jurassic World Dominion director Colin Trevorrow about the film's IMAX preview and scored some exciting tidbits about the film. The preview features 7 new dinosaur species, and we asked Trevorrow if there are any more in the film and how he decided on which ones to use. He he had this to say. Ronnie Dodge, is it wrong that I'm excited they put feathers on dinosaurs at last in the flashback scenes? The fact that I get to decide that new species to use in these movies still shocks me, that I have that responsibility. It's the best part of my job that I get to do that. There are 7 in the preview. Some of the ones that are introduced in this prologue you do see in Dominion, and there are some major new ones that are only in Dominion. The Gigantosaurus, as you can imagine, I wouldn't do the audience like that by just showing the Gigantosaurus taking out the T-Rex and never seeing it again. So that's going to be a major player going forward. It's a pretty badass dinosaur, that thing. The Jurassic World Dominion IMAX trailer sees the Gigantosaurus go up against the T-Rex in the Cretaceous period. In a show of Gigantosaurus might, it kills the T-Rex, cementing itself as a major predator. As Trevorrow confirmed, the Gigantosaurus will go on to appear throughout Jurassic World Dominion, and it just might be one of the biggest baddies the humans have to face. Seeing a Gigantosaurus walking around in a human city is a startling prospect. Hopefully the movie still actually features a moment like that. Trevorrow also said separately that Jurassic World Dominion won't have any hybrid dinosaurs, so the only creatures audiences see will be ones that truly lived thousands of years ago, which I think is cool, because educationally for kids, that's awesome. It sounds like in addition to featuring some familiar dinos like the T-Rex, Trevorrow worked to incorporate others fans might not be very knowledgeable about. This should make Jurassic World Dominion an even more intriguing adventure than it already is, and it'll be so exciting to see these new dinosaurs roaming around. I agree. This project sounds exciting. I am not convinced this is the last movie. I haven't heard Trevorrow say this is the last movie. Maybe I've missed it, but I think there's more to come, and I'm excited about this movie. Ronnie Dodge, and no hybrids. I was getting bored. Bobcat, what I plan on doing deals with really heavy topics now that I think about it. Bobcat, and no, not Spider-Man heavy themes. I'm talking about things such as suicide and certain religious topics. Interesting. I think it's interesting with heavy topics because people are obsessed with heavy topics these days in creativity. I definitely like those things. I think when I was a kid, the heavy topics were Vietnam and things like that, and other stories, the IRA. And now it's mostly about depression and suicide. It's like that we never had depression and suicide 30 years ago. Of course we did. But now it's all that people talk about. These are things that have to be looked into, researched, and done. In reality, you need to talk to people who suffer with these things because it's important. So, very interesting, Bobcat. Right, Qui-Gon Jinn in Kenobi show rumors shot down by Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson, who played Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn in The Phantom Menace, shoots down rumors that he will appear in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show by Zoe Hulina of Screenrant. Rumors that Qui-Gon Jinn will appear in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show have been shot down by Liam Neeson. In 1999, Neeson portrayed the Jedi Master in the first Star Wars prequel installment, The Phantom Menace, but was killed off at the end of the film by Sith apprentice Darth Maul. However, he was still loved by fans and became one of the franchise's more iconic Jedi heroes. The reason Qui-Gon Jinn was so loved by fans, despite being such a short-lived hero, was largely because of his camaraderie with his apprentice, Obi-Wan Kenobi Ewan McGregor. In addition to teaching Obi-Wan the ways of the Force, he also took great interest in training the young Anakin Skywalker, a rebellious ambition that went against the wishes of many of his fellow Jedi. Qui-Gon's dying wish to Obi-Wan was to train Anakin using all that he had learned from him. Qui-Gon was scarcely mentioned for the remaining prequel films until the end of Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, when Yoda and Obi-Wan were about to go into exile as a result of Palpatine's Order 66. Yoda tells Obi-Wan that he has training for him to do on Tatooine, which would entail learning how to communicate with Qui-Gon, who had learned how to preserve his spirit in the netherworld of the Force. This reveal is one of the only insights fans have ever gotten regarding what Obi-Wan was doing in his solitude on Tatooine. Bobcat, I wasn't really trying to incorporate these things. These are just things from my life in a way. Ronnie Dodge, Rexy is properly going to remember fighting the Giga back in the day and get her revenge. Oh, maybe. The Kenobi show, which takes place a decade after the events of Revenge of the Sith, is going to finally provide fans with some insight on how Obi-Wan spent his time in exile prior to the events of Star Wars: A New Hope. Because of Yoda's reveal, it has seemed like a reappearance of Qui-Gon Jinn in Force Ghost form was a very possible route for the series to take. However, Neeson himself revealed on Jimmy Kimmel Live that he has not been involved in the show whatsoever, saying, no, I don't think so. No, I haven't been approached. He's lying. He's lying. Considering Qui-Gon Jinn's iconic character status, the news that Neeson will not be returning to the franchise in Kenobi shows is a big disappointment to Star Wars fans everywhere. The apprentice of his character would likely be as grand as Luke Skywalker's cameo was in The Mandalorian, and would maybe even have more nostalgic value than CGI Luke did, considering Neeson would be able to play the role himself. Additionally, this news is frustrating considering that Qui-Gon cameo would make sense because Obi-Wan has spent his exile learning how to communicate with him. However, as alluded to in the clip by Jimmy Kimmel himself, a good actor is always a good liar. There is always the slight chance that Neeson and Disney are keeping any Qui-Gon Jinn inclusions a secret. Exactly. A third theory is that maybe considering the recent trend in Star Wars projects to replicate iconic characters using CGI viewers of Obi-Wan Kenobi are in for a reanimated Qui-Gon that would not require any acting from Neeson. No matter what happens, fans have to wait a little while longer to find out the decisions that are being made behind the scenes. I think Qui-Gon Jinn will be in it, and I think Liam Neeson is lying, and I'd be very happy because it's realistically he should be there. You know, Obi-Wan Kenobi is in his little cave. That's his job. That's the little mission that Yoda gave him at the end of Revenge of the Sith. So it wouldn't make any sense. So we'll see. Bobcat, like I've said, I've dealt with a lot in my life, regardless of my generation. I've dealt with things and helped others go through things that have really shaped who I am today. And that's life, isn't it? Because everyone in life has the things that structure them, that change them. They have experiences, and people can use those experiences to help others, Bobcat, for sure. But I can promise you there's not a person out there who hasn't had a little element of mental health problems, maybe even without noticing it. Anxiety is a thing everyone talks about today. Well, everyone has anxiety and is anxious about something. That's not really a mental illness or depression thing. Anxiety, I used to have anxiety about going downstairs on the escalators. In the end, after years and years, I stood there and I bit the bullet and I beat my anxiety. So anxiety is there for every single human being. I don't think it's these days it's a reason maybe to take time off of work, say, I can't do anything, I can't talk to anyone. But the truth is, everyone has to deal with anxiety in the human realm. It's just different with this society today because, as I said on my Instagram today, if we had an alien invasion or the West was invaded, I don't think we'd be ready. I think this era of people is too overprotected. I think especially the younger people, they don't seem to be able to experience anything dark or anything a little bit negative, and I think that's problematic because that does educate you. The more you experience and the more bad things you experience, the better in my book. John, hi there. What did you think of the Masters of the Universe Revelation trailer? I loved it. The animation is interesting. The character designs is a little bit different from what I'm used to, and I think it's something I'm going to have to get used to. It looks interesting. This is really going to be Teela's story, more about Teela than He-Man. That's interesting. That's disappointing in a way because we're there for He-Man mostly, but we'll see. Bobcat, I have severe anxiety. I mean, my heart races, my head hurts. I can barely move, can't breathe, and I think I'm going to die, and sometimes more things like leg pain. Yeah, obviously that's a severe anxiety. What you should be doing, and I don't know if you are, is getting the appropriate medical help, talking to a psychiatrist, taking the right meds, and I hope that you do that. Right, here's the controversial one. She-Hulk show cast Good Place star reportedly as Marvel villain Titiana. The Good Place star Jamelia Jamil is reportedly set to play a reimagined version of the villain Titiana on the upcoming Disney Plus series, The She-Hulk. By Richard Think of Screen Rant. Kurt, Manchester United fan, Australia AU. Me too, brother. Jamelia Jamil has reportedly joined the cast as She-Hulk as the series villain. Jamil is most famous to audiences for her role on the hit NBC series A Good Place, where she played Tahani al-Jamil, a wealthy philanthropist who had a habit of name-dropping her celebrity friends. She has also lent her voice in a guest starring capacity to many projects, including DuckTales, Harley Quinn, and most recently, the reboot of Rugrats. She-Hulk is one of the many Marvel Cinematic Universe projects coming to Disney+. The series will follow Jennifer Walters, played by Orphan Black star Tatiana Maslany, as she balances her life as a lawyer and her newfound Hulk abilities. The series will feature the return of Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk, and Tim Roth as the Abomination, which is very exciting, by the way. The cast also features Space Force star Ginger Gonzaga and Hamilton star Renee Elise Goldsberry, and it appears that Jamil is the latest talent to join the cast. Jamil is reportedly set to star in She-Hulk as a villain. Well, that's good because she pretty much is a villain in real life. The news was first broken by the Illuminati and then confirmed by Variety. While Variety Report did not specify what character Jamil will be playing, the story from the Illuminati says she will reportedly play the character of Titiana. The character description has the code named Lucy and is described as a Kardashian social media influencer with a dark side. Looks like she's being a one-trick pony again. Oh, Jamelia Jamil. Tatiana was first introduced in Secret Wars 3 in 1984 and was created by Jim Shooter and Mike Zed, originally a short, timid girl. When being transported to Battleworld, she is given super strength, grows in size, and allies herself with the various villains, including the Absorbing Man, who she eventually develops in a relationship with. It is where she also first battles She-Hulk, and the two begin a rivalry. She has appeared in various Marvel storylines through the years, often as a villain to She-Hulk, given she has the strength to rival her. Given the character's comic book origin, it appears the creators will have to change aspects of Tatiana's backstory to fit in with the current MCU. Why? How a character like Tatiana will factor into the series, and if she will be the primary villain for the series as both physical and competitive rival for Jennifer Walters, is what awaits to be seen. She-Hulk currently is being pitched as a more comedic series. With 10.5 hours episodes, so with 10.5 hour episodes, as opposed to the action series, but there's still room for the characters to have a villain to fight. So it will be interesting to see if Tatiana is the primary villain, and if the combination of casting an actress like Jamil and the series can elevate what it is a minor villain in the comics into a mainstream character. Jamelia Jamil is very outspoken. She's a very alt-left authoritarian. I don't particularly like her. She's annoying, but she's a talented person. And playing a socialite who becomes a supervillain would be absolutely brilliant and suit her. Hearing that this is going to be a comedy is disappointing. I mean, I'm not really kind of loving the Disney Plus stuff thus far. It looks like we're wasting our time watching this Disney Plus stuff. It doesn't mean anything. It's just something to fill the platform with. And that's disappointing because I think HBO Max and their DC stuff is the real deal. And I'm excited to see how it compares to the Disney Plus MCU stuff. Something tells me the DCEU HBO Max stuff is going to be far superior. Right, I'm just looking at my articles. Bear with me. Right, where are we? Bob, I know everyone goes through things, but this is really a page out of my life. Kurt, Manchester United fan, Australia AU. What are your favourite players next to sign for Manchester United? Harry Kane or Cristiano Ronaldo, brother? Well, I would like us to go for a more continental striker rather than Kane. Ronaldo would be great as a player coach. I would really like that as well. There's so many good players out there, Kurt, and I think we're not going to sign the right ones. We're going to continue being Brexit FC. We're going to get more British players, and that's disappointing. Ollie out. Ronnie Dodge, we all face demons. I was abused as a child and I went to foster care when I was young. I used to wake up screaming in the middle of the night. Even now, I still have nightmares, but things always stick. Yeah, that's horrible, isn't it, Ronnie? And I'm sorry that you had to go through that. Bobcat, I'm sorry. Bobcat, I'm sorry. Hope things get better, Ronnie Dodge. Ronnie Dodge, I'm a lot better now. I had to see someone to help me, so I'm a stronger person now. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with asking for a helping hand or asking for help if life is so unbearable. Sometimes we can't fix ourselves. Ronnie Dodge, I'm a lot better now. I had to see someone. No, I've read that. Ronnie Dodge, thanks, Bobcat. Awesome. So, we go on. So, it's Superman and Lois reuses a cancelled Smallville idea in episode 9. Actually, this is something I didn't know, but let's have a look at it, because nobody knows more about Smallville than me. Superman and Lois, episode 9, utilised a scrapped idea from Smallville season 4. Here's what it was and how they made it work with Jordan. By Nicholas Raymond of Screen Rant. Superman and Lois, season 1, episode 9, recycled a scrapped idea from Smallville season 4, episode 9 of the Arrowverse series titled Loyal Subjects. Stop calling it the Arrowverse series. It's a series standing in its own right. Saw Superman, Tyler Hoechlin, and Jordan Alex Garfield become infected by a kryptonite disease. It occurred as a result of Clark getting sprayed with a kryptonite gas in a previous episode. The disease hit Jordan a lot harder than it did Clark. Sometime after contracting it from his father, he began experiencing symptoms while getting ready to help Sarah Indy Navarrete with her musical audition. Suddenly, Jordan found himself sneezing uncontrollably, although we did have an episode of Smallville called Sneeze, to introduce Clark's super breath and freezing anything that came in contact with his icy breath. And by the way, Clark did have a disease in Smallville season 2, was it? I think so. It was because something happened. There was some kryptonite dust or something that infected him. Freezing anything that came, so basically uncontrollably sneezing and freezing anything that came into contact with his icy breath. Apparently, the disease inadvertently triggered another of Jordan's latent Kryptonian abilities, the Arctic breath, also known as freezing or ice breath. As the sickness worsened, Superman had to take Jordan to the Fortress of Solitude to get a solution from Jor-El to fix the issue. They used heat rays to restore his body to its normal temperature. Jordan's Arctic breath manifesting in this way is actually an idea that almost made it into Smallville season 4. Each of the show's first 3 seasons featured an episode where Clark picked up a new power, and the intention was for season 4 to continue that trend. It was stated in an official companion book to the show that at some point in the development stage, an episode titled Cold was in the works. Don't forget there was an episode called Sneeze later on, not that season, so in the works. The plot would have involved Clark catching a cold and accidentally freezing objects. But he does sneeze, which displays his super breath. So a bit different, but it works. So basically they did it kind of in the end. Whenever he sneezed. However, cold ultimately didn't fit into the writer's plan for the season, and it was subsequently dropped. Later on, Smallville reworked the concept by replacing the ice breath with his super breath in the season 6 episode Sneeze. Exactly. See, I know everything about Smallville. The big difference here is that instead of freezing things with his sneeze, is the extreme gusts of winds produced by his lungs blasted them backwards with tremendous force. After going through some shenanigans caused by his super breath, Clark finally got a grasp on this new power and learned to use it at will. As for the freezing breath, Smallville didn't actually use it until season 9, where it was revealed he had learnt it off screen and at an unspecified time. Yeah, I don't think we needed to learn about super super freeze breath, because we did the sneeze. We know he's got strong lungs, so it would have just be doing kind of the same thing again. Part of the fun of watching Smallville's Clark growing to Superman was watching him acquire his powers individually season by season. So it was a bit disappointing when it explicitly skipped the ice breath. Hang on a minute, mate. Hang on a minute. Or lady or whatever, right? It's not disappointing because we had Sneeze. We saw super breath displayed. Did we really need another episode that showed us that he could freeze things? Could have done it, but there was no point. No point whatsoever. Do I feel cheated because I didn't get this? No. I'm surprised you're disappointed. It's good that Superman and Lois isn't repeating that with Clark's teenage son. Oh, God. They're putting down Smallville to ramp up Superman and Lois. They're pathetic. when it explicitly skipped the ice breath. But with that in mind, it's good that Superman and Lois isn't repeating that with Clark's teenage son. Instead, it made a proper use of Smallville's original Arctic breath plan, but with a twist. What remains to be seen, though, is if this experience has made it possible for Jordan to use it whenever. If, say, he could have a new tool in his arsenal that's sure to be helpful in his own battles. What a pathetic article, really is, by Nicholas Raymond. I think that was very small-minded of you, Nicholas, I must admit. Never mess with Smallville, never. Bobcat, I don't see anyone, but I'm doing okay. You probably, what are you explaining there, your symptoms, you may need to see someone. Ronnie Dodge, I'm glad you're doing okay. Bobcat, I have this weird OCD where I have to do everything a certain way. Otherwise, I think something bad will happen to me. I know nothing will, but it's intrusive thoughts. Ronnie Dodge, I'm going to go, mate. See you guys later and stay safe. Thank you, Ronnie. Bobcat, see you, Ronnie Dodge. JDTSB. Hey, just got in. What's the topic now, Superman? Bobcat, I'll get my next COVID shot this week. Pray for me. I will. Definitely. And I get mine on the 26th of June, my second one. What's going on? We've been breaking the news, of course, talking about the Aquaman 2, I forgot what it's called now, the Aquaman 2 title, The Search for the Lost City, or I forgot what it's called now. But yeah, very, very exciting, that title. And, James Wan's been teasing us by saying the tide is rising. What could that mean? Is the tide rising on humanity? Will they have to go and live in this other place which Aquaman is searching for? Is that the whole mission? Very interesting. So where are we? Bobcat, hey, at JDTSB. Right. Time is running out. Jurassic World Dominion features dinosaur discovered just 2 years ago. Jurassic World Dominion co-writer director Colin Trevorrow reveals the upcoming installment will feature a recently discovered dinosaur by Grant Herman's Off-Screen Ran. Jurassic World Dominion co-writer director Colin Trevorrow has revealed the upcoming installment will feature a recently discovered dinosaur. Exact plot details regarding the latest chapter in the Michael Crichton-based series are currently unknown, though it was recently revealed that the film would be set 4 years after its predecessor. Fallen Kingdom ended with a larger portion of cloned dinosaurs being unleashed to the mainland, and humans come to terms with a new world of coexisting with the creatures. Though it was a box office success and held some promise, the reception to Fallen Kingdom wasn't the brightest from critics or audiences. That being said, the film's conclusion of people and dinos having to find a way to live together has left many waiting eagerly for the arrival of Dominion to see how it resolves this tension. While Trevorrow is still keeping generally mum on details surrounding the film, it sounds like the roster of dinosaurs will be expanding for the prequel. As Trevorrow and Universal prepare for the release of a special 5-minute preview attached to IMAX screenings or F9, the director spoke with Empire Online about the upcoming dinosaur blockbuster. While offering some new details regarding the plot of Dominion, Trevorrow also revealed the film will include a dinosaur only recently discovered by archaeologists. Check out what Trevorrow had to say below. We have our first feathered dinosaur, the oviraptor. Let me say that again. Oviraptor. I feel like that's going to be a bit of a headline for those who care about paleontological accuracy. Another one with feathers, which is the one in the picture, is the Moros interpretus. That one showed up maybe 2 years ago. It probably popped up into your feed. That people found a tiny T-Rex-like feathered dinosaur, and that was one of the quickest turnarounds that we've had from discovery to put it on screen. Yeah, that's really awesome, isn't it? Bobcat, man, stream went by fast. JDTSB, hi Bobcat. All right, Mickey, it's 4:40 a.m. for me. Better get some sleep. Okay, see you later, Bobcat. Bobcat, leave a like, everyone. Thank you, Bobcat. Bobcat, night chat, night, Mickey. See you later, Bobcat. With generic cloning now shut down after the events of Fallen Kingdom, there's been an air of speculation regarding what dinosaurs will be seen in Dominion and just how they'll be seen. Though a cute photo of a baby Listosaurus indicated the arrivals of new creatures for the prequel, this latest revelation confirms that the film will feature even more species unknown to the non-science studying public. Given the first two installments in the Jurassic World franchise were so focused around the concept of genetic cloning and creating bigger and better dinosaurs, mixing DNAs together, it's a welcome surprise to see an actual dinosaur yet to be put to screen, confirmed for the film. With a year left until the arrival of Jurassic World Dominion, fan theories and questions are only going to continue to permeate regarding just how it will wrap the Jurassic World trilogy. Well, I don't think they're wrapping anything. I think you're wrong. I think this is more than a trilogy, but we'll see. While also establishing the new era producer Frank Marshall promised for the franchise. In the meantime, audiences can look forward to the extended trailer attached to IMAX screenings of F9, the Fast Saga, later this month. So that's very interesting. Real life, actual dinosaurs being represented in the movie, I think is great. And it's great for educating young people as well. JDTSB, I'm on the fence about Jurassic World, but excited about Aquaman. Very excited about Aquaman. I'm a big DC stan, of course I would be. These Jurassic World movies, these Jurassic Park movies, all of this franchise are okay. I've always watched them. I'm not a stan of them, but I think they're okay, and they take 2 hours out of your day, and you just kind of escape. And that's how I see them. Loki is an origin story for Renslayer before she becomes the comic character. So this is an interview with my good friend, actually, Gugu Mbatha-Raw, exclusive. She confirms to Screen Rant that Loki is also an origin story for Renslayer before she becomes the comics character, by Nicholas Graff of Screen Rant. Screen Rant can now exclusively confirm that Loki is an origin story for Ravonna Renslayer, predating her comic character identity. While the series may have only released 1 episode so far, Renslayer has already had an important role to play in how she decided to handle the deviant god of mischief for the TVA. Now it looks like the series is setting up a future arc for her character as well. In the comics, Ravonna Renslayer factors heavily into numerous Kang the Conqueror story arcs, originally from the kingdom in the 40th century. It looks like we are heading for, I think Scott Edwards is right, we are heading for Kang the Conqueror, originally from a kingdom in the 40th century that ran astray of Kang. The villain quickly fell in love with Ravonna, though at first she hated him for trying to take over her home. Eventually she returned his feelings after Kang proved himself to have some decency and helped free her people from another villain. Being the only woman Kang loves, there are many tales of self-sacrifice and desperate attempts to save one another, as Renslayer and the Kang survive assassination attempts, battles with heroes from the Avengers to the Fantastic Four, and even deal with their own murderous passion on one occasion. In her fury, Renslayer even managed to kill Kang and take over his kingdom, resurrecting him only to murder him again out of her continued anger. Wow. Sounds like a bit like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, doesn't it? During Screen Rant's recent interview with actor Gugu Mbatha-Raw, she confirmed that Loki would be an origin story for Renslayer before she became the character known in the comics. Furthermore, Mbatha-Raw says that knowing the version in Loki was before Renslayer became the powerful force she is in the comics, alleviated a lot of the pressure for her. Read her exact words on the subject below. I read a little bit about Renslayer in the comics, but initially the producers and Kate did let me know that this section that we're in with the TVA is more of an origin story for her, in a way that let me off the hook of having to know everything that comes next, because we're starting to pre-comics. That was kind of exciting as well, to be able to feel a sense of ownership over her. Gugu Mbatha-Raw is best known for her work. Let's start again. Gugu Mbatha-Raw is best known for her work on Apple TV's The Morning Show, Season 3 of Netflix Black Mirror, and her work in movies like 2017's Beauty and the Beast, 2020's Misbehavior. Loki, the series, is being helmed by director Kate Herron. By the way, she was also in Doctor Who as Martha Jones' sister, and she's been in a lot of things, more than that. Anyway, with Tom Hiddleston back in the titular role, the 6-episode series is only airing on Disney Plus, with releases scheduled for the middle of the week on Wednesdays. Making Loki an origin story like this gives the MCU a lot of freedom with Ravonna Renslayer and her potential relationship with Kang the Conqueror. And with the series technically taking place after Avengers Endgame, Loki could be doing a lot of heavy lifting, setting up Phase 4 of the MCU, especially if Kang does end up being the major big bad, as many suspect he will be. Whether or not Renslayer's story will continue past Loki seems uncertain, but it will be interesting to see Mbatha-Raw's take on early version of the character, knowing what she eventually becomes in the comics. She's going to love this role. I'm telling you, she's going to love it, And if it expands to what we think it's going to expand, like it is in the comics, I think she's going to do a great job with this role. JDTSB, I heard Marvel will replace Doctor Strange with a woman. Have you heard anything? No, absolute nonsense. Of course, they're not going to replace Doctor Strange with a woman. What? Absolute. You've got Benedict. Where'd you get this? Maybe they'll have a female version of the character. Maybe there's a female version of the character in the comics. I don't know, but I haven't heard anything of the sort anywhere. You're probably listening to the Fandom Menace a bit too much. Masters of the Universe Revelation title explained by Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith, the creator of Masters of the Universe Revelation, reveals that the Netflix show's title actually refers to Teela's journey. So we've had She-Ra, and now the actual title refers to a female character, not to the male lead. Well done, Kevin. Thanks for that. Kevin Smith, the creator of Masters of the Universe Revelation, reveals that the Netflix show's title actually refers to Teela's journey by Adam Benz of Screen Rant. Kevin Smith, the creator of Masters of the Universe Revelation, recently explained the show's title. Following Netflix's successful revamping of She-Ra and the Princess of Power, Smith's project will be the streamer's second animated show based on the iconic 1980s series, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Smith's series features an ensemble voice cast that includes Chris Wood as He-Man, Mark Hamill as Skeletor, and Sarah Michelle Gellar as Teela. Additional roles are voiced by Diedrich Bader, Kevin Conroy, Liam Cunningham, Lena Headey, and Justin Long. As a direct sequel to the original series, Revelation will pick up following the final battle between He-Man and the alter ego of Prince Adam and Skeletor, the blue-skinned humanoid with a bare-boned skull. After numerous teases from Smith regarding his reaction to the trailer, the show's first images shows the premiere date. Fans finally got the first real look at Revelation today, about a month and a half out from its release date. The show's first teaser trailer revealed its epic action-packed story. Now, during the ongoing festivities of Netflix Geek Week, Day 4 was centered around anime and animation. Kevin Smith appeared and took some time to explain what his series, Subtle Revelation, refers to. Read Smith's explanation below. Revelation in the title, Masters of the Universe Revelation, refers to Teela's journey. Teela finds out something about her that was hinted at in the old Legacy show, and that's a kernel that we blow out and really played in with this show. So the revelation in question really has to do with Teela. And that's because if you remember the old show at the very beginning, they would talk about only 3 others know his secret. And it was like the sorcerer with Man-at-Arms and Orko, as well as Cringer. Teela, who He-Man fought side by side with, and Teela protected Adam when he wasn't He-Man, was always left out of that. She was kept in the dark, like Lois Lane. So our approach for the story was like, what happens if she finds out? What happens when she learns who He-Man really is? And what if she learned that not from him confessing it? Wasn't him going, you know what I think you can handle this. It was by the way of the adventure of the epic. Something happens that kind of breaks everybody's world and all the revelations are revealed. Based on Smith's explanation of the title, it sounds like his He-Man series will actually focus more on another character, Teela, as she attempts to find the missing power sword and save the universe. In previous installments of the franchise, Teela was known as captain of the Royal Guard at the Palace of Eternia, not Eternios, and therefore tasked with protecting and training Prince Adam of Eternia, though she's unaware of his alter ego. Though Smith's series might focus on a different character in Teela, he has previously said his series will not attempt to reinvent the franchise and instead will pay homage to the original show with a slight adult-oriented spin. Now that Smith has revealed that the show's title refers to Teela, perhaps audiences have a better idea of what to expect from Masters of the Universe Revelation, debuts on Netflix next month. And there's another revelation in the original animated cartoon. Teela is the sorceress's daughter. What I can't remember is, was that ever revealed in the original animated show? And will it be revealed here? That's the revelation I'd like to talk about, right? But who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Right, more Jurassic World 3 Dominion updates. Why Jurassic World 3 goes back to the Cretaceous era. Exclusive Jurassic World Dominion director Colin Trevorrow reveals why the prologue visits a period the series hasn't gone before, the Cretaceous, by Adam Benz of Screen Rant. Jurassic World Dominion director Colin Trevorrow reveals why the movie goes back to the Cretaceous era. The Jurassic World movies owe much of their success to the popularity of Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park from 1993. The 1997 sequel, The Lost World, also based on Michael Crichton's novel of the same name, was not as well received as the original, but still considered a welcome installment to the franchise. Jurassic Park 3 was an outlier in the original trilogy, as it was not directed by Spielberg or based on a Crichton novel. The first installment of the reboot trilogy, Jurassic World, was released in 2015 and returned the franchise to its former glory. Directed by Colin Trevorrow and starring Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard, the film grossed $1.67 billion at the box office and set multiple major records. At the time, Universal quickly ordered a sequel for 2018, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, which brought Jeff Goldblum and Dr. Ian Malcolm back to the series and grossed another $1.31 billion at the box office. I think he was literally in the film for a second. Back to the series. While the release of the prequel Jurassic World Dominion is still a year away, it was just announced that the film's first extended preview, a prologue sequence set during Cretaceous period, will be shown before IMAX screenings of F9. Now, in an interview with Screen Rant, director Colin Trevorrow reveals why Dominion's prologue visits a period in the history the series has never gone before. With the Cretaceous period in the prologue sequence, why was it important to start this time when all of the other movies kind of ignored it, except for the animation sequence in the first film? So why start with that and show the mosquito at the end? Maybe because we hadn't done it. That's the kind of answer, right? It felt to me that if you're someone who enjoys our films and you love dinosaurs enough, I can't imagine that seeing the Cretaceous era wouldn't interest you. And it was something I wanted in the end. I think there's a self-indulgence in it. When I was a kid, I was a dinosaur nerd who wanted to see that well. And now I'm lucky enough to be able to realize it. I went out and just grabbed the opportunity. JDTSB, so a He-Man movie, but not centered on He-Man. I hope it's good. I'm going to give it a chance, but still, this is just typical of the era we're in, isn't it? So, very sad, but let's see what they do with it. According to those who have already seen the preview, it takes place 65 million years ago during the Cretaceous period. Scored by Michael Giacchino, the prologue plays like a peaceful nature film, allowing viewers to experience the serenity of Earth before humans emerged. Paradise. The scene will feature 7 new species of dinosaurs never before seen in the previous Jurassic movies. The scene will also include a mosquito sucking some T-Rex blood, a callback to the original Jurassic Park in which John Hammond, Sir Richard Attenborough, clones dinosaurs by using DNA from a mosquito preserved in prehistoric amber. In a sense, Jurassic World Dominion returns to the Cretaceous era to provide an origin story of sorts for the dinosaurs that fans have come to know and love through the films. So that sounds very ambitious, this prequel, right? You're going to actually get like this nature movie prequel before F9. How exciting is that? John, got to go. I will be tuning in tonight. Thank you very much, my friend. Right, Walking Dead character-focused special episodes announced by AMC. This is exciting. AMC announces the Walking Dead Origins 4-part AMC Plus series that will focus on fan-favorite characters Daryl, Maggie, Carol, and Negan by Molly Fesser of Screen Rant. AMC announces the Walking Dead character-focused special episodes to release this summer. The long-running post-apocalyptic series has remained a top program for AMC since its debut 10 years ago. Based on Robert Kirkman's graphic novels of the same name, The Walking Dead has gripped and shocked fans with its cliffhangers and fan-favorite character deaths. The long-delayed Walking Dead season 10 finale aired on AMC in October after its premiere was pushed back in April due to the coronavirus pandemic. Episode 16 was intended to air a week after episode 15, but production was brought to a halt, and AMC decided to expand season 10 with 6 additional episodes, which began airing back in February and concluded in April, with a final bonus episode, Here's Negan, which treated fans to a Negan origin story. The 11th and final season of The Walking Dead is set to release in August 2021, but AMC already has something to tide fans over until the final season airs. AMC's networks via comicbook.com has announced The Walking Dead Origins, a new series of special episodes that will focus on 4 Walking Dead characters. Daryl Dixon, Norman Reedus, Maggie Ree, Lauren Cohen, Carol Palatia, Melissa McBride, and Negan Jeffrey Dean Morgan, according to the show's official synopsis, the 4-episode series. Right, let's have a look at this then. Charts the story of the zombie apocalypse from the point of view of a single character and features new interviews and narrations from the actors that portray these iconic characters, interwoven with the clips from the most pivotal moments of their journey so far. It doesn't sound particularly that interesting now, does it? Anyway, the series of special characters-focused episodes is the first of AMC's 11 weeks of reveals until season 11, which is set to lead up to the final season with trailers and other reveals every Thursday. Origins will air exclusively on AMC Plus, beginning July the 15th with Daryl's story, followed by Maggie's story on July the 22nd, Negan's story on July the 29th, and Carol's story on August the 5th. Along with each special episode, fans will also get a sneak peek of season 11 and a best-of-episode collection of each Walking Dead character. Origins is the latest from the Walking Dead universe on AMC Plus, along with the episode diaries from both Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead. Chris Hardwick's after-show talk show, The Talking Dead, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and Hilary Burton Morgan's Friday Night In with the Morgans and more. Walking Dead fans are likely very happy with this news, as Origins will focus on perhaps the 4 most popular characters that are left on the series. Season 10, episode 22, is Negan exclusively focused on Negan introducing his wife Lucille and detailing his background. However, fans can never have enough Negan, and it will be interesting to learn more about these iconic characters from the actors' point of views. There is certainly no lack of content from the Walking Dead universe. And I can't believe it's finishing with season 11. I never thought I'd see the day. Wow. Will Rick turn up? I know Rick's doing his own movie, but wow. One more article before we finish. It's been a really, really long episode of the Big Mouth Daily Live, but I think it's been worth it. So we have 3 people in the chat. We have 7 likes, and I'm very appreciative. The Conjuring Freak cut a demon that could have had its own spin-off. Recently released sequel, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, cut a demon that could have been used for a spin-off, says the film's director by Mike Jones. Off Screen Rant. The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, cut a demonic character that could have gone on to lead its own spin-off film. The highly successful horror franchise's latest offering marks the first time that creators James Wan has stepped aside from the directorial duties. In his place is newcomer Michael Chavez, whose only previous feature film has been 2019's La Curse of La Llorona. So far, The Conjuring 3 isn't a critical favourite, but fans seem generally pleased, which is good. So forget about, films don't have to be a critical darling. It's the fans that matter, right? Aside from the change in directors, The Conjuring 3 also breaks with franchise tradition by taking series protagonists Ed and Lorraine Warren, Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, respectively, out of the confines of a haunted house. Both The Conjuring and The Conjuring 2 dealt with evil spirits that was restricted to homes. But in the franchise's 3rd chapter, the focus of the Warrens' paranormal investigative skills is demonic possession, based on the true story of America's first ever legal case in which a defendant cited demonic possession as the reason for committing a brutal murder. The Conjuring 3 doesn't quite feel like past entries in the series, yet still manages to not seem out of place among its predecessors. However, unlike the previous 2 Conjuring films, The Conjuring The Devil Made Me Do It passed on an opportunity at delivering the sort of antagonist that could lead its own spin-off. As Slash Film reports, the latest entry in the Conjuring universe originally had an iconic demon character that was cut. The demon would have worked in tandem with the occultists. The film's human antagonist, unfortunately having 2 adversaries, made The Devil Made Me Do It too complicated, and as a result, the demon was cut, as Chavez explains. We actually did have what we would thought was going to be the new spin-off demon, and this is something that was true to the story. We had a demon that was full-on pulled from Little David's interviews and descriptions. Arnie said he saw the same thing, and it felt like this was going to be the iconic demon. And producer James Wan was with this from the very beginning, James Monster Maestro, and we shot it. We had a cut of the film with this demon in it. Wow, give us that cut, man. The demon worked with the occultist, memorably played in the movie by Eugene Bondurant. It was the 2 of them together were introducing a human adversary, which was the first time that's ever happened in the Conjuring universe. So all of a sudden, the relationship between the occultist and the demon seemed a little hinky. Previous spin-off characters within the franchise to have received their own films are Annabelle from The Conjuring and The Nun from The Conjuring 2. While these films have been profitable, they haven't been able to surpass the Conjuring franchise in terms of fan base. Yet despite the decision to cut the demon character from The Devil Made Me Do It, it is somewhat surprising that The Occultist wasn't considered as a possibility for a spin-off. Arguably one of the film's few genuinely creative elements, The Occultist is unlike any other adversary seen before in the series, and the fact that she's human could have added to the breadth of spin-offs attributed to the Conjuring universe. In the end, the decision not to include the iconic demon character into the plot of The Conjuring The Devil Made Me Do It might seem like a missed opportunity, but ultimately it was the right decision to make. If the third Conjuring film suffers from anything, it's not a lack of antagonists, it's that the occultist could have been used to a stronger degree, something that might have heightened the film's scares and made the film stronger overall. Judging by audience opinion, however, it seems that The Devil Made Me Do It succeeded just fine, which is always good to hear. They're made for the people, so the people can pay to see them. At the end of the day, that's why there's critics, to try and lure people in by saying good things about the movies. When they say bad things, it doesn't help. That's the idea. But the people loved this movie. People went to see this movie. The movie's made money. End of story. End of debate. It's a shame we didn't see the demon, but we could have a director's cut, right? If they made a version of the film with it, maybe that's why he's telling us about it. Maybe we should release the Demon Slayer cut. Yes, please. And that is your entertainment updates for today. You know what? It's been amazing to be able to come to you and, read all these articles and update you all with all this awesome entertainment news. Makes me really happy. JDTSB, I'm more excited about the Cretaceous prequel than the movie, lol. As I say, I'm not a big fan. I watched the movies and this sounds really experimental and very ambitious. So I can't wait to see what they do with it. So, if you're rewatching this, comment down below. Like, share and subscribe. Share the video, share the channel. I will be back tonight from 6:30 p.m. UK time with Big Mouth Live. That's where we just talk. If there's any news to kind of give you, I will update you with more entertainment news. But we will be talking about whatever you want to talk about within the entertainment industry. And I can't wait for you to tune in with me so we can stream live together with Big Mouth Live, as I said, from 6:30 p.m. UK time. You can follow me over on Twitter @MoviesTVMad. Until then, see you tonight on Big Mouth Live, 6:30 p.m. from UK time. I'll see you then. Until then, goodbye.